Who was watching me through the hotel cameras? I'd found this gorgeous Prague hotel for $30 a night, which should have been my first red flag, but I was too broke to care. Then I found a camera peeping out of my air vent at 2 a.m. The hotel manager had this spider web tattoo creeping up his neck, which seemed edgy cool, until he gasped when I mentioned the camera and quickly covered it, saying, "Impossible." But his hands were shaking as he followed me upstairs. Did I mention he brought 2 other staff members with him? And the entire walk there, his fingers were flying across his phone's keyboard. When we got to my room, the vent was empty, just dusty metal, and all 3 of them exchanged this look I'll never forget before offering to move me to a better room. I couldn't afford to switch hotels after blowing my budget here, and honestly, the way they were pushing the room change made me want to stay put even more. Oh, and the better room they showed me had no windows. I said I was fine with the room I had. That night I heard footsteps in the walls, not mice, but deliberate human steps. I started changing in the shower with my clothes in a plastic bag, paranoid about cameras in every shadow, and I wasn't wrong to be paranoid because I saw the lack of dust in the vent where I swore the camera was. Then there was the girl next door, Lizzie from Manchester. She had been texting me about grabbing breakfast when her messages suddenly stopped. The previous night I could have sworn I heard furniture dragging. Morning came, and the cheerful desk clerk told me Lizzie checked out for a family emergency, but the entire situation reeked of bullshit. By the way, the clerk had the same spider web tattoo, just smaller, behind his ear. At a cafe, I mentioned the hotel I was staying at to my waitress, and she literally dropped her tray. "You're staying there alone?" she whispered, then walked away when I nodded. Before I left, she slipped me a napkin that said, "Check the basement." I spent the day pretending to be a ditzy tourist while actually memorizing every exit. I noticed the hotel had exactly 1 security camera in the lobby, pointed at the ceiling. This little girl who hung around the lobby kept staring at me while her mom cleaned. When I finally smiled at her, she burst into tears. An hour later, the little girl cornered me by the vending machines, grabbing my hand with both of hers, saying, "They took the yellow-haired lady last night. They take the pretty ones who come alone. Mama says I can't tell, but you're nice to me." She was shaking so hard I could feel it through her tiny fingers. She described how men used keys to enter rooms at night, how they pick tourists with no families, how the police never came because Uncle Pavel owns everything. When she mentioned Uncle Pavel was the police chief and her mom couldn't leave because they have our papers, everything clicked. Oh, and Uncle Pavel was the manager's brother. She forgot to mention that earlier. Everything just kept getting worse the more this girl spoke. "They picked you already," she whispered. "I saw them put the red mark by your name in the book. Please leave." Did I mention she was only 7? I left through the kitchen at 4 p.m. with just my passport and phone, wearing 3 layers to look bigger, and took 4 different trams to the train station. The little girl had drawn me a map on a napkin. When I got home, I reported everything to as many government officials I could find emails for. The hotel shut down 2 months later for renovations, but because nothing official ever happened, Lizzie is still listed as missing, and I can't prove a thing.